Hello friends and welcome to HitBullsEye. My name is Manish and in this video we are going to discuss the current affairs for the second week of September 2023. Let's take a look at the issues in brief. Starting with 20th ASEAN India Summit and 18th East Asia Summit. So ASEAN Summit took place in the first week of September जिसके बारे में हमने last week के टॉपिक ऑफ द वीक को भी कवर किया था. इट वाज ऑन द आसियान समिट बट along with on the same like in the same venue in the same city, these two meetings also took place, so we'll take a look at this. Next, exercise Bright Star 2023 or Bright Star 23. It's a joint military exercise between a number of nations, so we will see what all nations are involved here. And so we'll see what all numbers are involved here and we'll see what India's role is in that particular exercise. Next, African Union has become a permanent member of G20. So the second week, of course, was a major week for India as far as the hosting of the G20 summit is concerned. So African Union became a member. We'll discuss that here. इसके अलावा पूरी की पूरी G20 summit को हम cover करेंगे. Topic of the week of the second week of September. So do watch that video as well. World's tallest Nataraja statue has been installed outside the Bharat Mandapam in New Delhi, which was the venue of G20. तो इसके बारे में कुछ important art and culture से related चीजें हम discuss करेंगे. Then world's highest fighter airfield is going to come up in Ladakh. Ladakh is a hotbed of conflict between India and China for the last few years now, and now India has decided to set up the world's highest fighter airfield in Ladakh. अभी हमने 1-2 वीक्स पहले ये न्यूज़ भी डिस्कस की थी कि लद्दाख में ही दुनिया की सबसे ऊंची या you can say world's highest motorway is going to come up, or motorable road is going to come up. So this is the second in that series. 6th Rashtriya Poshan Mah 2023 is being celebrated this month. And finally, NATO has conducted its military exercise this year. We'll see what its name is and what our countries are taking part. Let's see. So first is the 20th ASEAN India Summit and 18th East Asia Summit. East Asia Summit से हमें कुछ बहुत ज़्यादा लेना देना नहीं है, but ASEAN India Summit is really important for us. So ASEAN is Association of Southeast Asian Nations. Association of Southeast Asian Nations, which is a grouping of 10 countries currently. That includes Indonesia, Malaysia, Philippines, Thailand, Singapore, then Brunei, Vietnam, Laos, Myanmar, and Cambodia. These are the 10 countries which are the members of ASEAN. This organization was started in 1967 by the Bangkok Declaration. And India established diplomatic relations with ASEAN in 1992. So last year, 2022, marked 30 years in Indo-ASEAN friendship, and that is why it was marked as the Indo-ASEAN Year of Friendship, the year 2022. उसी साल एक 11th member ने भी apply किया, which was East Timor, and it's very soon going to be inducted into ASEAN. So now India deals with ASEAN separately also. So with each of these 10 countries, India has diplomatic relations, but India deals with them collectively as well. So India ASEAN meeting होती है, जो कि ये 20th meeting थी, right? तो 1992 के बाद से अब तक ये 20th ASEAN India Summit थी. So in this meeting, Prime Minister Narendra Modi participated. So this, despite the tight schedule that he had because he was hosting the G20 summit in his home country. तो यहाँ पे प्राइम मिनिस्टर मोदी ने एक 12-point cooperation plan दिया, which is really important. So let's take a look at what those 12 points are that Prime Minister Modi emphasized on as far as India-ASEAN relationship is concerned. The first thing is multimodal connectivity, improving connectivity between India and ASEAN countries, whether it is by road, whether it is by the sea, or whether it is through the civil aviation. Then digital public infrastructure sharing, that we will be sharing our digital public infrastructure. Then digital future fund for any cutting edge technologies and innovation in the future. Then they dedicated their support for Economic and Research Institute of ASEAN and East Asia, ERIA. इसके लिए support Prime Minister मोदी ने envisage की. Global South representation, Global South, हम ब्रिक्स में भी यही बात कर रहे हैं और हम आसियान में भी यही बात कर रहे हैं. So these are the countries which are not the so-called elite countries of Europe and North America. So these are all global South countries which are either underdeveloped or developing countries, but they do not represent the interests of Western Europe or let's say North America. तो global South की representation भी ASEAN को represent करती है. Traditional Medicine Center which is going to be set up in India, इसके लिए भी ASEAN countries को invite किया उन्होंने. Then Mission Life, जो इंडिया ने यूनाइटेड नेशंस डायरेक्टर जनरल की प्रेजेंस में लॉन्च किया था पिछले साल, which is Mission Lifestyle for Environment. So this is basically how an individual can change their lifestyle to save the environment. This is what it means. तो इसके लिए भी ASEAN countries को invite किया गया. Then affordable medicines. This is another area of cooperation. Pharmaceutical sector में affordable medicines बनाने के लिए. Counter-terrorism cooperation, so that all the ASEAN countries can be on board to counter any type of terrorist operation in the region. Disaster resilience, especially tsunami. Disaster management, tsunami as well as earthquake both. And finally, maritime safety, because this is one of the busiest routes for trade in the world. You know, the Malacca Strait and all these major straits that pass through the Southeast Asian countries. So these are the 12 areas of cooperation that Prime Minister Modi has brought forward in this meeting. तो ये points थे जो आपको important पता होने चाहिए. Next, exercise Bright Star. So Indian Navy, Indian Air Force, basically India's tri-services are participating, which includes Navy, Air Force and Army, all the three, in this exercise Bright Star, which is happening in Egypt. So what is the venue of this? Egypt. Right, this edition of multinational tri-services military exercise will see participation from 34 countries. 34 countries are participating in it. That includes a lot of countries from Asia, Middle East and India, of course. It is the largest ever joint military exercise in the Middle East and North Africa region, known as MENA region, Middle East North Africa region. में ये आज तक की सबसे बड़ी military exercise है, and this is the first ever participation of Indian Navy in this exercise. So Indian Air Force and Indian Army have been participating in the past, but Indian Navy ने पहली बार participate किया है इस exercise में, highlighting India's commitment to strengthening its ties with nations in the Middle East and North Africa region. Right, so exercise Bright Star happened in Egypt. 34 nations participated and the region is Middle East and North Africa. Indian Navy participated for the first time. All these are important from your exam point of view. African Union became the permanent member of G20. So one of the pole stars of the G20 summit this year was African Union becoming the member under the presidency of India. That is something that the history will remember, of course. So during the opening session of G20 summit in New Delhi, African Union became the member. So it became the 21st member of G20. In case you do not know, G20 is already 19 countries and European Union. So G20 is not a group of 20 countries. It's a group of 19 countries plus the European Union, which in turn has 28 members. लेकिन अब इसमें African Union भी जुड़ गई है, जिससे कि अभी actually 21 एंटिटीज या 21 मेंबर्स हो गए, लेकिन अभी तक इसका नाम फॉर्मली G21 नहीं किया गया, इट्स स्टिल G20 ओनली। तो अगर अफ्रीकन यूनियन की बात करें तो AU चेयरपर्सन अजाली एसोमानी वाज आल्सो प्रेजेंट इन द G20 समिट, तो उन्हें एक नई चेयर ऑफर की गई, सो ही आल्सो सैट ऑन दैट coveted elite table on which all the heads of state of the G20 members sit. So he is currently the AU chairperson, and he is also the president of the Comoros, which is a country in Africa. So he assumed his seat as a full member of the G20. Now, if we talk about African Union, it has 55 member states. So as you can see, this is the map of Africa. This is the map of Africa. So the countries that you can see in the dark green color are the members of African Union, and the countries which are in the light green color are currently not the members, they are like suspended. So almost the entire continent of Africa, you can see, is a member of the African Union. So it's like you're representing the entire continent if you have given this organization a seat on the G20, and that step alone has the power to make this grouping a rival to the United Nations. Well, not necessarily a rival, but as an alternative to the United Nations, which so many countries are frustrated with right now because of the pending UN reforms. UN has not been reforming itself for the last 50-60 years now, and that has frustrated so many countries, including India. So now African Union has become its member. The representation has gone, much more. So 19 countries plus more than 20 countries of Europe, so that is 40 around countries, and now 55 more countries. That takes the membership of G20 countries to approximately 90 plus, and that is significant. In fact, close to 100, I would say. So it wields substantial influence in the region, African Union, and its headquarters are in Addis Ababa, which is the capital of Ethiopia. So it has become a member. These are the points you should keep in mind. World's tallest Nataraj statue has been installed. World's tallest Nataraj statue, as you can see. So this is the outside of the new Bharat Mandapam that has been constructed in Pragati Maidan, New Delhi, for hosting the G20 summit, and also thereafter for so many meetings, conferences, exhibitions, etc. MICE center this is. तो उसके बाहर ये लगाए गए दुनिया का सबसे बड़ा नटराज आइडल या नटराज स्टैचू है. It's a 27-foot tall statue. 27 foot means almost like a 3-story building, right? Which portrays Lord Shiva in his cosmic dance. So it has a lot of historical significance from the point of view of art and culture of India. This has been crafted from Ashtadhatu, which is an 8 metal alloy, right? Its weight is 18 tons. Anyway, so the artisans that have made this sculpture were from Swami Malai in Tamil Nadu's Thanjavur district. So it has been crafted by the craftsmen from Swami Malai in Tamil Nadu's Thanjavur district. And this idol draws inspiration from 3 Nataraja idols, 3 different Nataraja idols. One is Tillai Nataraj temple in Chidambaram. Second is Uma Maheshwar temple in Koneri Rajapuram. And third is UNESCO World Heritage Site of Brihadishwara temple in Thanjavur. These are the 3 different places in Tamil Nadu where we have found Nataraja in one form or the other, and those Natarajas are the inspiration behind this particular sculpture, right? Very important from examination perspective. Next, world's highest fighter airfields to come up in Ladakh. So we had recently covered this news that in Ladakh, the world's highest motorable road is under construction, which is even going to defeat the record of Amlingla as the world's highest motorable road. So the new Likaru Migla Fukche road that is being under construction in Ladakh will be the highest motorable road in the world at 19,400 feet above the mean sea level once it is constructed. Similarly, the world's highest fighter aircraft or fighter airfield is going to come up in Ladakh. The place is going to be Neoma, in Neoma. So the Border Roads Organization is constructing it, which is the nodal agency for this. And Neoma stands as a prominent village situated in the southern region of Ladakh. So it's in the southern part of Ladakh, and it hosts an Indian Air Force base within the Leh district. This is an Indian Air Force base. It's notably home to an advanced landing ground established in 1962, just after the China War. Its elevation is 13,710 feet. This is the record above the sea level, making it one of the highest altitude locations in the region. And once it is formed, it will be the world's highest fighter airfield, where fighter aircraft will be able to land and take off. It's really important, and this is a part of the strategy of India to amp up infrastructure, civil as well as defense infrastructure in the border regions, especially with China and Pakistan. 6th Rashtriya Poshan Mah. So Poshan Mah means nutrition month. Rashtriya Poshan Mah means National Nutrition Month, which is observed by the Ministry of Women and Child Development in September 2023. So this is by Ministry of Women and Child Development, and its focal point is to cultivate widespread awareness concerning human life stages like pregnancy, infancy, childhood and adolescence, in which nutrition plays a great role in development as well as evasion of so many diseases. और इस साल का जो थीम है इसका, दैट इज सुपोषित भारत, साक्षर भारत, सशक्त भारत, which means nutrition rich India, educated India, empowered. It's really important. सुपोषित भारत, सशक्त भारत, साक्षर भारत, सशक्त भारत. Right? So this is the theme of this year. And Poshan is basically the full form of Poshan is, वैसे तो Poshan means nutrition itself, but ये acronym भी है. So this is Prime Minister's overarching scheme for holistic nutrition. This is Poshan, Prime Minister's overarching scheme for holistic nutrition, and it operates in a mission mode to reduce malnutrition among the people. So Poshan Mah, September. And finally, NATO's military exercise has been conducted in 2023, whose name is Steadfast Defender. Steadfast Defender. This is the name of the exercise. Last year, the exercise was named something like Scorching Moon or something like that, but this year it is Steadfast Defender. So this is basically a muscle flexing they are showing, because the Russia-Ukraine war is still underway. So this is like a way of showcasing to the Russian side and to all the supporters of Russia that this is the power of NATO. This is going to be the largest military exercise since the Cold War, and it will involve 500 to 700 air missions, 50 plus ships and 41,000 troops, which is the largest military exercise ever. NATO members are gearing up to conduct this exercise. NATO has about 31 member states now after the inclusion of Finland, and this exercise will take place in the spring of the following year in 2024, and it will stimulate various military scenarios, and very interestingly it has a hypothetical adversary, which is a coalition of Russia known as AUKUS. This is a imaginary coalition which is a rival to NATO, but it is led by Russia. This is an imaginary rival. So they presume this, and then they will conduct this exercise. Then let's say if Russia attacks all the NATO countries with some of its allies, how is the NATO going to counter it? Just to have a theatrical effect to that. So the geographic theater for these extensive drills will span across several nations, including Germany and other, East European countries. NATO's military exercise, Steadfast defender. The name is really important. That's all for this week. In the topic of the week, we will be covering the G20 summit that took place in India, and we'll see what all major outcomes of that meeting were. Okay, so thank you so much. I'll see you in the next video. Till then, take care. Thank you.